Welcome, everybody. This is Edgardo, Balentine.
And this is Scott DiGregorio, and welcome to the Real Estate of Tomorrow podcast, where we're going to discuss the rapidly changing landscape of the real estate industry.
And the steps that you need to take today in order to survive tomorrow.
Look, I'm going to give you the perspective of a 25-year veteran, somebody who has been there and done that.
With Jesus life for all part, okay?
That's for you, man.
Look, I'm going to give you a fresh perspective from somebody that's applying those steps today.
So that basically means you're young and you don't know shit.
All right. Let's get this started.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate of Tomorrow podcast, the greatest podcast out there. I am Scott DiGregorio.
Edgardo Balentine.
Hey, man, what's going on, brother?
You know, just chilling.
Dude, we got an important topic today, and I think it's a topic that people run away from a lot of times. And I'm not going to lie, it's something that I was hesitant to add to my business. And again, I'm old, as you like to point out frequently. So maybe it was that, but we're going to talk about automation today because it has been a powerful factor in the growth of our businesses. And, we use it at 4 distinct stages in 4 totally different ways.
Before we even start, I want to say something. If you're new to the business, if you're just starting, if you don't think that your business requires this now, this is the time to spend time and do this. One thing that you have told me repeatedly, and I'm having a hard time, or I had a hard time getting this through my head, is you got to do all of these things. You got to run your business now as if it was 10 times busier, because that's the only way that you can achieve being 10 times busier. And if you just do what I did when I was starting, which was just power through and work a bunch of hours and, do it the hard way and get 10 times busier, then it's extremely difficult to then spend the time to do what it takes to actually be able to continue the business, to not burn out, and to, actually run it as a business. So I say this because I know, as somebody that maybe was new, when I listen to topics like this, when I heard people talk about automation and things like that, I would say, yeah, but no matter what, I'm going to be better than the automation, than the automated email, than the automated whatever. So that's not for me. Listen to me. If you're at that stage and you're actually planning on growing, if you're not planning on growing, if you're planning on just staying where you're at and being mediocre forever, that's fine. Don't listen. If you're planning on growing and you just feel like right now this is not for you, this is specifically for you.
Yeah. And that's, that was a thing I mentioned to you as far as, running a business like it's 10 times bigger than it is today is a lesson that I and many people learn the hard way. So if you're in that stage, please heed this advice / warning, because what I did for years was I'd grow my business with great service. I'd get so busy, my service levels would drop. As my service levels would drop, my business would drop. Then I would be slower and I'd start the cycle again. And I personally went through that cycle for years. I know people that are in both the mortgage and real estate industries for 20 and 30 years, and they're still running that cycle. So I really hope everybody listening to this has taken that advice, because the truth is this: setting these things up takes time, and the busier you are, the harder it is to justify and spend the time needed. But once you do, your business will be better. And to go to your point, one of the things you said, Ed, that I think is just wrong, and it's a common thought, which is I could do it better. The reality is this: when we're rushed, the little niceties in the email fall off. The little sales opportunities in the messaging is lost. So by adding automation to things, it enables you to make sure that you're touching on all the bullet points all the time, and every single consumer you deal with has the exact same experience. And that's critical.
All right. If you're a knucklehead like I am, and you're, a couple of years in the business like I was when I wasn't listening to this topic, just do me a favor. At the very least, just save the episode, make it one of your favorites, and then come back and watch this in regret for not doing that, in 2 years. So let's jump in, man.
I like it. Let's talk it. So look, we talk a lot about generating leads online and the importance of doing it. And I understand running a referral-based business. You and I receive a ton of referrals. However, in talking about how consumer expectations have changed, every agent receives phone calls that goes along the lines of, "Hi, I want to see 123 Main Street. Can you show it to me?"
Right.
And what if you're getting those calls, you have missed the opportunity to touch and reach and connect with these buyers on the front end of things during what I call the education phase. And I think that's where it's super, super critical. So,
which is the longest phase, by the way.
100%.
When you're looking at the buying cycle, this is the longest phase of the buying cycle. So this is the one where you have the most opportunity to, connect with the client, to give them to show off of who you are.
Absolutely.
People think it's afterwards, but afterwards you got the sell. You got the commitment. This is the time to do it. So go ahead.
Yeah, look, and you got to understand that if somebody's researching, okay, in 3 years, I'm going to retire, I'm going to move to Florida, I'm going to buy a condo in this particular community, and they've researched that for 3 years, you have to understand that when they call you, they most likely know more about that condo, that complex, that community, and that submarket than you do.
I mean, hopefully not, but yeah.
But realistically, I mean, 3 years is 3 years. So what we have to do is we have to capture these leads on the front end. We could do it through Facebook. We could do it through a ton of these lead programs that are out there. Frankly, Zillow leads, and we're going to have an agent on talk about that. But we got to get these leads, and then we have to provide value. And the best way to do this is through automation. And, we use something called Agent Legend, which is a multimedia, they do a great job of incorporating video emails, video texts, ringless voicemails, things like that, into their platform. And that is very appealing.
All right, 1 second. Ringless voicemail means, like the word says it, you get a voicemail without actually getting a phone call. So obviously for the person getting that, they think that they missed a phone call and they get the voicemail. Okay. When he talks about multimedia, it's video emails. Obviously, you can send the email and you can also incorporate a video to that email. And then same thing with the text messages. This is something that sounds like it should be available in every platform because it sounds like, yeah, of course, they should have that. Trust me, it took us forever to find a good platform that would incorporate all of this.
Right. And look, we're using that platform for years. I'm sure others have popped up. Sure. I know Follow Up Boss is another one. But whatever it is, trying to find automation that goes beyond the static emails, I think is not only important in this market, but I think necessary. So that's, so the first thing we got to do is we have to hook these people. And I talk to people all the time, and, there's some NAR statistics out there, and I talk about this in my classes. It goes like this. The average real estate agent speaks to or comes in contact with 22 potential buyers or sellers a month. And out of that, they work with 2 and close 1. Now, the 20 people they don't close or work with, most of them will say they're tire kickers, they're not serious or anything else. But here's the real punch in the face. According to NAR, within 12 months, 50% of those people end up closing on a piece of real estate, meaning that the average real estate agent, based on NAR, states they're walking away from 10 potential closings a month. The challenge is this, though, scale. If we got 20 people a month coming in and 10 are going to buy, first off, which 10? Secondly, how the hell do we effectively stay in touch with them for 12 months? Because we got to understand that it's 20 the first month, 40 the second month, 60 the third month. And if the average is 12 months, that means some people are longer. So you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of people. And what most agents do is they only work on the low-hanging fruit. And what we realized early on is that if we could tap into that other 50%, a business could grow exponentially. And the only plausible way of doing this is through technology and automation.
That's right. It's the only way to do it properly and to do it consistently. Because that's the other thing, too, with automation. There's no pause button necessary. That happens when you're on vacation. That happens when you're busy with the biggest deal. That happens all the time. The other thing that's important with that consistency is that you're giving everybody the same 5-star treatment.
Yes.
Okay? And going back to the quality thing that I mentioned at the beginning, look, automation doesn't mean a stale email. Automation doesn't mean that you're going to have somebody else write a lame message. Automation means you can create that same email. You can create the message. You can connect as much as you want with the person receiving it, but now everybody's gonna receive it at the time that you want them to receive it.
Right. And look, it goes back to what we say all the time. Content is king. If you put together a great automation schedule and the content sucks, it will suck.
Yeah, it's as lame as you want it to be. It's as lame as you are.
Exactly. So, but if you're providing real value, okay, like going back to my condo component of it, what if you took time and said, okay, people looking, and attached to this email is a list of the historical HOA increases over the last 10 years for the 30 biggest communities in Southwest Florida. All of a sudden now, this is data that's not available. Frankly, a piece of information that many consumers don't even think about researching. If they could, it's difficult to find that data. But if you put that together and that went out to every single person looking to buy a condominium, you are now providing real value and you are now part of the education phase of the process. And that is where loyalty is built and that is where money is made and growth happens.
Absolutely. I mean, you say it all the time. When we talk to our clients that have been following us for a number of times, that sell is a lot easier because they feel that they have that connection with us rather than just you were recommended by so-and-so.
Absolutely. And so that's the first piece is content is king. The second piece is this. We cannot, and you should never rely exclusively on automation. Okay. The way automation is used most effectively is in combination with personal contact. One of the things I like about automation, besides the consistent messaging and the consistent delivery, is the fact that it enables me to see who is engaging with the content. Going back to my question, which 50%? The damn 50% that's opening your emails and responding and absorbing the content you're sending them.
Yeah, the statistics that you get behind the scenes help you make the decisions of where you're going to spend now, not the automation, but where you're going to spend your time. So we always talk about this. Look, the highest and best use of your time is to talk to people that want to buy a house or want to sell a house. But the key term here is they want to buy a house and they want to sell a house. And if they're opening those emails, if they're engaging with that content, if they're doing all of this through your automation, then you know who's interested and you know who's not that interested. And most importantly, because of the automation, there is consistency. So once the person that's not interested become interested, then that's when you, with all your personality and all your specific, okay, I'm going to talk to this particular person, that's when you come into the scene. Because, look, like you're saying, I love this. This is not that you're going to become a Zillow or you're going to become a fintech company and never talk to clients. This is going to help you choose who you're going to talk to and where you're going to spend your time, which is your most valuable asset.
And I'm going to go a step further. Not only does that tell you who to talk to, it'll, in many cases, tell you what to talk about. I cannot tell you how frequently I'll look at my list and I'll see that I sent an email on the insurance increases that happened in Florida in 2021. And there'll be somebody that opened up the same email or played the same video 37 times.
Right.
So now not only do I know this person is interested, this person at some level respects the information I'm providing, but now I know what their trigger point is. Hey, listen, John, I just came across a new article. I just wrote a new article. I just learned a new thing about the recent insurance changes. I wanted to give you a call and send you the information. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking to the right person about the right thing. And there's no other means besides leveraging technology. There's no other means of doing that out there. And that is critical to conversion.
The other thing that's important with this is I don't know if this is a word, but the shareability of it as well. Maybe you're talking about that, and this is not something that applies necessarily to John, but John's brother just was complaining about this, and now it's very easy for him to say, hey, listen to what my guy sent me.
Absolutely. So look, as far as the ability to connect with people on the front end, to know which people to talk to know what to talk to them about, there is no more powerful thing. And there are ways to set it up the way I do it. I use something called Zapier, like $20 a month, a little bit of a learning curve, but it's business, it's work. Leads come in, they get dumped automatically into Agent Legend, and then Agent Legend sends me reports of who's interacting, and then either myself or my team, or you could even hire a virtual assistant to make the introductory calls, but somebody then is following up those people and bringing that human element into it. And when those two elements come together, that is where the magic happens. You're
talking about connection, and I know we're going to talk about that. I don't know if this is now, but let's just do it. there's two type of connections that we're talking about, right? You connect with people, which is just reaching and getting engagement from that person. Interesting, and that's important. But one of the things that we talked about on the video episode, go check it out, is also the connection at a deeper human to human level, right? We do this through video a lot, but we do it through video through automation as well. Because there's a lot of conversations and there's a lot of things that we might want to tell the client. There's a lot of messages that we want to be able to communicate with the client that makes us who we are, frankly.
Absolutely.
You know, it makes us real. It makes us a person. It shares with them who they're dealing with on a deeper level. That, quite frankly, if you're meeting with them at an open house or if they're meeting with them at a place to show them a house, it's just not the appropriate time for them to listen to that message. I mean, you do it extremely well with your why video. Why don't you talk about that?
So look, we all have to acknowledge it, and you and I do this with our realtor partners now. When we form a relationship with a real estate agent on the front end, what we ask them is, what do you wish you could tell your clients that you don't feel like that would come off weird, that you don't feel comfortable? Like, what makes you you? And then we sell that for them to the prospect.
Yeah,
so
that's the question we ask all our clients.
Of course.
Like, what do you want me to relay to the clients about you? What's your superpower? Because it comes a lot better if it comes from me than if it comes from the agent, especially when they're talking about, can we replace the kitchen sink?
Right. All right. So there's lead capture on the front end. We are following up with people. We get people that go, okay, fine, I want to start working with you. Now, the second level of automation goes in for people to start the process. The purpose of this is to hook them. And the purpose of this, like you said, is to get them to know who I am. So there's two videos that I believe strongly in. One of them is my why video, and the other one is my meet the team video. And the why video explains to people why I'm so emotionally invested in running the business the way I run the business, which is, as you do the same, an incredibly strong focus on financial education, financial literacy. I talk about the time in that why video, what happened with my parents, what happened with my upbringing. By the way, jump online to my website. You can watch my why video, go to my YouTube. You can see it. Feel free to plagiarize it. But we all do this. The overwhelming
Make sure you change
majority
the name, though.
The overwhelming majority of people that I speak to that are in real estate or finance are there for a very real reason. And putting that into a well thought out video and getting that out to people so they understand kind of what makes you tick is a really important thing. And by the way, the more raw, the more exposed you make yourself, the more completely open to things, the more they're going to trust you and the better the video is going to be. So that's the first video that goes out. I think it's critical. Second video that goes out a few days later is a meet the team video. If you are new in the business and you don't have a team, like you said earlier, bookmark this episode to go back to it. But as you grow and as you become a team, if that's the path you take, it gets very difficult where people can start feeling that they're being kind of dumped off, or they don't understand who the hell is this new person calling me. So the meet the team video says, hey, here's the 5 people on my team that you're going to be speaking to. This is why you're going to be speaking to them. This is specifically what they're going to be handling. And most importantly, this is the benefit to you of working with them versus me. So you can automate the handoff, automate the messaging behind that, and make them feel ingratiated to your hearts and your team and your business structure. And by the way, if you don't have a team, maybe you put together a video going, hey, here's what to expect.
Yeah.
Here's the process. Here's
video.
why it's there. So either way, using automation in combination with video after they've decided to start working with us is an excellent way to convey messaging that might come off strange in any other way.
And this is where there's the perfect conversion between automation, content, and context. Because at what portion of the transaction you've done this before. Maybe you've gone through it as a consumer. Maybe you hear complaints or things that people are going through. At what portion of the transaction it's important to share certain things. Some things you share with excitement and it's important to be silly and celebrated. Some things you share with a little bit more pause and you become that advisor that takes things seriously. And the automation allows you to not miss one in any transaction. Never miss it. Just like we send those videos that are a little bit more heartfelt. I mean, we send videos where we're practically dancing and celebrating that the appraisal came in at price, or that we got the approval and things like that, which at that point, that context is necessary to release the stress of everybody and say, hey, you did it. We did it. Congrats.
Right. And let me ask all of you to ask yourselves a question. Have you ever had a client unhappy because of miscommunication or an assumption that was made or something of that nature? The other thing that's beautiful about automation is the consistency of it. Yeah. So in example, so this year, 2021 in Florida, because of the last hurricane that came through, insurance got weird. And then a flood insurance law passed that insurance just got weird. So what I did was I went into my automation. Okay. I automatically get insurance quotes and I made a change and I put in there, it is imperative that you make your insurance decision in the next 7 days.
For October, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, before the end of October.
And then I have another automation that goes out to somebody on my team 6 days later saying, hey, call John Smith and let him know his insurance due date is tomorrow and see if there's anything we could do to help them. So a shift happens in the market and you no longer have to remember to tell everybody that. You change the automation and from that second forward, everybody gets the new and improved updated messaging. And there is such power in that because you can make sure that everybody is getting the right messaging. When somebody calls me up and complains about something, which it's impossible for that never to happen, my brain immediately goes to, what do I have to change in my system to make sure another client never feels that way again? And that is something that automation and automation alone can bring to your business.
And the system is not a notepad where you write down, please remember to do this. The system is, this is something that I have to do once, and it's going to be there perpetually, forever.
Absolutely. So look, we've talked about how to capture the leads. We've talked about how to leverage automation at the start of the process. What about during the process? Ed, why don't you talk about, and you referenced it a little bit with some of the videos that came out, but why don't you reference the communication systems we've built through automation to help navigate and guide people throughout what is a very complicated process?
Yeah. So there's two things that come to mind when it comes to, or two goals that come to mind when it comes to during the process. Number one, there's a lot of questions and troubles and things that make for a very stressful transaction that can be avoided by simply going ahead and answering the questions before they're asked. And the questions normally will come at a certain time. For example, just to throw an example, what's the appraisal order in our case? We let everybody know when the appraisal is ordered, when they come back, when we get a conditional approval, when we submit it for click to close. When we do all of those things, we send it to everybody because we know that after 3 days of silence or 2 days of silence, the clients are, okay, what's going on? Is there a problem? And this creates fear, and fear creates a disgruntled person. And when they're calling you mad at you for having done nothing wrong. But they've been thinking about this problem that doesn't exist for the past 2-3 days. And because they haven't heard from you, they're already pissed at you for something that hasn't happened yet.
Because their cousin told them when I bought a house, blah, blah, blah.
This is what happened to me.
And, the old adage, no news is good news. That does not apply in a real estate transaction.
Not at all.
It is too much of an emotionally charged process for people. And the horror stories are abundant. And frankly, appropriately so. A lot of crap goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
All of our goals as top professionals is to minimize, God willing, eliminate, if that's, not that that's really possible, but tremendously minimize and get as close to eliminate as possible surprises and bad news and things of that nature.
So it allows us to do that. It allows to, from a selfish standpoint, it allows me to be less busy, less phone calls for things that are repetitive that I can simply answer. The other thing is it makes for a better process for the client. I read that a statistic that said that when, Disney, it's obviously known for the customer service. They did a survey where they were asking every client, every customer, every park attendee to every person that goes to the park to rank their experience from 1 to 10 on each individual part of the process. So they go into Disney and they're waiting in line to go in. People mark like 5. They walk in and, they see the castle. People are marked 10. Now they get back in line and they have to wait an hour to get into whatever adventure thing. Then they have to, their kids is hungry and they have to overpay for lunch. When they did the average of this, grades, it was a very below average.
Yes.
It was like a 6 or a 5 or something very low. But when they asked them to rate their overall experience,
which happened like a week or two after the vacation was over.
It was extremely high. Because what they focus on is making the highs so high that they overpower all the other stressful but necessary things. You need to have a line. I don't know that they need to charge so much for what they charge, but they do charge so much for what they charge. So how can we apply this? I understand that mortgages and real estate is not as sexy as Disney. I don't think it's not as magical as Disney, at least. I don't think sexy is appropriate for Disney, but it's not as magical. How can we elevate those things? And man, in such an emotional transaction, there's so many opportunities for us to celebrate the wins.
Absolutely.
And celebrate them big and be silly. I mean, I have videos with confettis and just Napoleon Dynamite it's dancing next to me and I'm singing to them. Those are the videos that people remember the most.
Absolutely.
And that's where I get the most referrals. So that's the second reason why this automation during the process is important. But the third reason, and again, another selfish reason is, guys, during the process, you have the attention of everybody. You have a captive audience. You're cold calling every single day and trying to get people to talk to you. Well, if somebody's under contract with you and you text message, everybody in their transaction is dropping the ball. And think of all the opportunities that you have to ask for referrals, to shine, to ask to talk to other people that are in their situation. See, people like to wait for the end to start asking for things. But think of all the opportunities that we have during the process to ask to talk to their accountant, for example. Accountants are a great source of business.
Absolutely. Financial advisors.
Ask to talk to the financial advisors and all in the, I don't want to say disguise because it does help, but all with the excuse of, listen, it's important that we talk to your accountant because a lot of times what happens is the accountant never gets the closing disclosure. So I want to make sure that I can communicate with the accountant and give them that closing disclosure for when they do their taxes, they do it properly and they maximize your tax benefits.
Right. So look, there's two things that I want to talk about on this to go a little bit deeper. Okay. And to touch on that point first, I don't know how many people have ever heard the term reticular activator, but I've talked about it in my seminars for 20 years.
Big word.
The reticular activator is the part of your brain that recognizes what is important to you at the time. Okay. The easiest example I give people, you go out and you buy yourself a white Toyota Camry. Okay. When you pull out of that lot or when you decide that you're going to buy a white Toyota Camry, all of a sudden that's all you see on the road. That is your reticular activator. So what people have to understand from a generating referral standpoint is that while they're going through the process is when their reticular activator is honed in on buying or selling real estate. After closing, they're thinking about movers, utility companies, window treatments, flooring, contractors, blah, 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 schools, whatever, things that aren't necessarily referral opportunities. So if you could create a really kick-ass customer experience utilizing automations, that is your greatest opportunity for referrals. And, you talked earlier, my second point is that you talked earlier on the milestones. And, here's what I see. Okay. What most real estate agents do is they go, okay, here's your contract. You got 14 days for an inspection. You got 25 days for loan approval. You got to get your second earnest money deposited in 10 days. All of these and they sit down and they go over the contract and they expect their consumers to absorb all that. And they don't. Now, the good agents I know, the good agents go a step further. They put together an email that says, hey, keep this email for your records. On this date, this is due. This date, that is due. This date, this is due. Now, this is clearly an upgrade, okay? Because we are now taking it to the next level. But here's the question you got to ask yourself. How much better would the process and experience be if that email was sent and then for something that was due in 14 days, 10 days later, they got another email and or text message that said, hey, just wanted to let you know, in 4 days, you got to make your second deposit. In 4 days, the approval is back. In 4 days, the home inspection, but whatever it is. And I understand you're talking to your clients about this, but let's be honest, you're not talking to all of them all the time exactly the same. And by leveraging automation and giving people peace of mind with the milestones and the deadlines, think of how comforting is it to tell people, listen, there's a lot of deadlines and steps here. I'm going to send you an email next week, which by the way can be automated. I'm going to send you an email next week that goes over all of your deadlines. And then throughout the process, 3 days before every deadline, you're going to get another message from me telling you it. So just keep an eye on your emails and text messages. And if you have any questions when you receive them, give them a call. Give me a call and we'll walk through it. That is a significantly less stressful, significantly better, significantly more human. All right. And it's weird that automation technology could create a more human experience, but a significantly more human experience for people, high touch, high sales, high service. And that is where referrals come from.
Because human is connecting with people. And this gives you the opportunity to connect with people on a deeper, higher level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can never lose sight of the fact that it is so overwhelming on the front end. A person goes under contract and there's 1,000 moving parts. And what we do in our messaging is we acknowledge that 2 days in, hey, I know your head is spinning. I know this is super stressful. I know there's a million things on your mind. Rest assured, we are going to give you exactly what needs to be done in a timely manner. Just, we got you. You don't have to figure it out. The system has it figured out for you. And I don't necessarily tell people the system has it figured out. We just tell them, hey, keep an eye on your messages. We will guide you one step at a time. Do not worry about it.
Look, one thing that was very apparent to me this year was the importance of a stress-free transaction. We're just worried about hitting all these check boxes that we need to hit on time. And a lot of my personal stress at times was I did everything that I had to do, and the client is maybe not as happy as they should be.
Absolutely.
That's so wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, what a terrible statement to make. So I shifted that statement to go, what was the client experience, regardless of what I did or what I didn't do? And how can I make the client experience better? And the most important thing that I can deliver is a stress-free transaction. And that is the best thing that anybody can do on such a stressful, emotional transaction that people aren't prepared for. Nobody trains you to buy or sell a house. However, you do it almost blindly. And if we can deliver that stress-free transaction, your business will grow exponentially. And it did.
And it does. And so now let's switch over to the fourth and final component of this, which is post-closing. Look, I know very, 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 very few agents and loan officers, for that matter, that do a really good job managing their database with useful information, okay? Do you want to send out recipes to your database? Fine. You know, the old adage is that people will see your name before they delete your email or whatnot. And I'll be the first to tell you that having that is better than not having that. But how can we leverage automation? How can we leverage valuable information and provide value to people post-closing? Because like we talk about, people buy or sell real estate once every 8 years or so. So if you have 800 people in your database, 100 of them are buying or selling real estate every year. You got to ask yourself, what percentage of that business are you getting? For most people, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. And this is where post-closing automations come in. And there's a couple services we use that are big.
Yeah, let's talk about what we do. So, and there's post-closing immediately, and there's post-closing, in perpetuity, right? So post-closing immediately, there's a lot of different services that you can take advantage of and give value immediately. We, for example, we give something that, well, this is not quite post-closing, but it helps them with the move. It helps them do the transition from the place that they're living in to the place that they're going to live in, with helping them with Comcast or Xfinity or whatever it is, changing their address, all of this in one website. That's very easily to, put the realtor picture there and everything, and it looks like it's something that we both do. Another thing that we provide to our clients, and it's unbelievable, is a product called HomeBot. Mm-hmm. HomeBot is something that it gets automated, so it gets set up automatically in our world, and it gets sent to the client. They call it financial digest of their home. Mm-hmm. And this financial digest, and we have it in our own home, so we know what it's in it. It tells you the value of the property. It tells you how much your house has appraised. It tells you what your payment is and what would happen if you make extra payment to the principal. As you get a little bit more and more equity, it tells you what you can turn that equity into. It gives you an idea of what's happening in your market if you were to rent that house on a month-to-month basis or rent the house on a year-to-year basis, not just for an Airbnb, it gives you an idea of what it would look like if you were to refinance that house or take a home equity line of credit. So it really gives you a very, very detailed financial statement on your house, which is something that people don't do. It's your most valuable asset for a lot of people. And nobody gets financial statements on that. And you get that every single month. And let me tell you guys, I know it sounds like it would be a lot of information overload. That is probably the one thing that I send on a month-to-month basis that gets the best acceptance and the best open rates.
Well, I mean, our open rates are in excess of 70% on that.
It's ridiculous.
And by the way, if you don't know this, a good open rate is 3% or 6%. Yeah. So 70 is absolutely unheard of. And it shows the value of that. The interactive components of it is a really powerful thing. And by the way, we got to understand, okay, so, we've done plenty of episodes. We talked about Zillow, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. If you're providing that data to them, you become the source versus them going to Zillow or some of these other websites. And Zillow's purpose is to steal that lead from you in the future.
I think it's important. I didn't mention this, the interactive portion of it. If they click one way or another, we know exactly what they're clicking. They get a direct message from us or for us if they click certain things. So it's an easy way for us to keep track of it. The other thing that we do on the back end, it's a service that will track their home and their habits throughout the whole time that they own that house. So if somebody were to, for example, put the house for sale or anything like that, we would get an immediate alert saying, hey, this person is interested in selling this house. At what point we can take whatever measures we want to take as far as calling the agent and let's communicate with this person.
Absolutely. And it's just such a powerful tool. Now, another service that we use is to generate customer surveys, post-closing surveys. And
yeah, that's right.
So look,
they just changed their name, right?
They did.
It's called experience.com
now. Yeah. So look, we got to understand. So we talk a lot, right? The holy grail in real estate lending. You want to have a referral-based business. Well, we also talk a lot about how consumer behavior has changed. So let me frame this for everybody listening. Okay. First and foremost, 10 years ago, if you had a client that you did a great job for and they were at a family function or a business function or whatever, and they ran into somebody that was thinking about buying or selling real estate, they could say, oh my goodness, I worked with Julie. She was amazing. You got to give her a call. She did this and that and this and that, blah, blah, blah. 10 years ago, that person goes home and just calls Julie. End of discussion. Well, if that happened today, okay, exact same scenario. When that person goes home, here's my question for you. Before that person calls Julie, what do they do first? That's right. The answer is they Google Julie. Okay. And here's the real kick as far as a change in customer behavior. If they don't like what they read, they will trust the opinions of strangers over their friends, family members, and business associates. So what I teach is that if you want to run a referral-based business, it is imperative that you have an online reputation management strategy, okay? Surveys are the currency of today's day and age. So if you want to run a referral-based business, we have to get surveys out there. And there are companies like experience.com that we use that will automatically send a survey out. And then when the survey comes back, they will automatically post it to Google and Zillow and Facebook and LinkedIn and what have you. And you don't have to do anything but pay a fee. And it's relative. Now we have a corporate account, so I don't know, but I believe it's relatively expensive, under $50 a month.
Inexpensive.
Thank you. It's your third language and my first.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help.
Spread it out.
But it is not expensive.
Correct.
And it is a incredibly important thing to add to the process. So utilizing automation to get and distribute customer surveys post-closing is absolutely critical. And then the last thing that we wanted to touch on was birthday calls and closing anniversary calls.
Yeah, the birthday calls and the closing. It's such an important and easy call to make that people don't like to make. And it's such an important and easy email to send. And that's, again, we talk about celebrating the wins. That's a way to celebrate the wins with the clients. Be silly, to show a little bit of your personality, to connect with them on a deeper level. Because think about it. You want to have the opportunity to touch as many people as possible without it seeming like sales. So it's an easy thing to automate. It's a very, very easy thing to mess up. Okay. You don't want to mess it up like Zillow messed up the iBuyers things. You want to do it right. Don't send the email or don't send a letter or whatever it is that you're going to send, and send your business cards. That's not the time and the place to do that. This is the time to simply talk to the person and celebrate their win as a person, not as a realtor. The time to do that is later, not at that time. But it's an important and easy thing to do.
It is. And here's something else to understand. People's personalities are different, okay? Some people are much more high touch than others. If you're listening to this and you consider yourself a really high touch person, here's the holy grail, okay, of combining automation and personal touches. Some of the automations that we send out, we're copied on. So maybe you have the closing anniversary email go out, but you're blind copied on that, which when you receive that email, that is your trigger. Call John Smith. Hey, John, listen, I know I sent you an email, but I just want to give you a call. I cannot believe it's been 4 years since you closed on your home. Just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. Hope all is well. If you're leaving a voicemail, whatnot, if you have any questions, give me a call. There's a local car dealership that we bought cars from for a lot of years. And the first salesperson I had, my wife and I, every holiday, every birthday, every reasonable touch point, we received a text message, and every so often would be accompanied by a phone call. Now, the text messages felt a little automated to me. Okay. They did not feel like that at the beginning, by the way. But then when I got into automation, I realized it.
Right.
But then he would once a year or twice a year give each of us a call and combine the automation and the high touch. And if you're a high touch person, this is something where you could really maximize the benefits of automation. But without the automation, what's going to happen, you're going to be sick, you're going to be on vacation, you're going to be too busy, and nothing's going to go out at all. And that's worst case scenario.
One thing before we finish the podcast is a lot of times people think of automation and think of they don't want to be disingenuous, right?
Good point.
Look, you're not trying to trick anybody. If the content is good, even if it's automated and people know it's automated, the content is good. If you send me something that is useful for me or that I enjoy or that entertains me, I don't really care if it's something that you sent everybody or if it was personalized for me, as long as it's something that, check one of the boxes, either entertain me or taught me something. That's good. So you're not trying to trick people into think that something that's not happening is happening. You're just trying to give value. One thing that I do with some of my closer clients is they get their automated email and then I follow it up by another video that's ridiculous. It's clearly ridiculous that I do it at the time that I say that I send that email. And then I send them a text saying, guess which one is automated and guess which one is for you. You can have fun with it.
Absolutely.
And those ones get a much better response than when I just send the one that's not automated.
Absolutely. And then you touched on something that we almost didn't discuss, and I think it's really important.
Nailed it.
The messaging and content of the automations must be you. Do not buy into a CRM that comes with a canned 24-month drip campaign that you put people on. That is when automation goes horrifically wrong. Take the time to work. I don't care if it takes you a year, okay? Take the time to work on your business so you write all of the content that's going out there, your videos, your messages, your everything, because that way your personality, your expertise, your everything comes through in the messaging and it is genuine. Automation sucks. It's like scripting. Scripting's fine if you write the damn script. Your script will suck if it's mine. My script will suck if it's yours. But my scripting and my automations, I took the time and energy to invest into the system so that way my personality and expertise and knowledge and belief systems come through in that. And that is when you could really, really, really grow your business through the use of automation. So look, we have talked about how to capture the leads, what to do at the beginning when people start working with us, what to do throughout the process to make it a stressless transaction, and then how to provide real value after closing for people, all through the use of automation. And I don't want to pat ourselves in the back, but I think we killed it.
Best one yet.
All right, everybody, listen, man. I am Scott DiGregorio. This is Edgardo Balentine. Question is always, what are you doing today to prepare for the real estate of tomorrow? Guys, thank you so much for listening. Please tune in to the next episode. Every other Monday they are dropped. And please leave us comments and 5-star reviews. And please share this, everybody. Much love. We will talk to you in 2 weeks.
Go automate something.
Well, thank you guys for listening. And now it's your turn to implement everything you learned today.
Look, you have a question, you have a topic for a future episode?
Share with us.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing. What are you doing today so you could be successful tomorrow? Send us an email at success@realestateoftomorrow.com.
And don't forget to leave us a review, an honest review.
Screw an honest review. Leave us a 5-star review. And for every 5-star review we get, we're going to send you a badass Real Estate Meme t-shirt.
Those shirts are hilarious.
See ya.